This is the Agency Independence Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Dobbie, and the goal of this podcast is to help insurance agents find freedom in their agency or in their personal life. Anywhere that we can help you find that freedom, that is our goal. We've got a few guests with us here. We've got the Michael McCormick. We've got CJ Hudson Pillar, and you may not recognize them if you're watching this on YouTube. We've got babyface Matthew Hahn, who has had a appearance change here recently. What's going on, fellas?
I got out of the industry, so I had to, get rid of the porn stash. That was
a short-lived career.
Short-lived career. I miss it a lot. I find myself sitting on the couch and touching my face like I do 100 million times.
You're still stroking it.
I'm still stroking it. And literally when I got home from the conference, I walked inside and my wife looks at me and just points up the stairs and says, go freaking do what you got to do. So I had to go upstairs and shave the thing off. But then when I left, I felt like such a freaking turtle when I was staring at myself. I literally didn't want to look at myself for a day or two. And my wife said, okay, fine. If you really miss it that much, you can get rid of the mullet and you can have the mustache, but I can't do both of those.
So it's one or the other.
It's one or the other. So initially I loved the mullet. I loved everything about it. I told my wife, I've never felt better about myself. Like when I would walk around, I just felt good about myself, and it's probably not the right thing.
It just gave people a reason to look like you in your mind.
I just had confidence. I had confidence, which shouldn't be a thing. It should give you less confidence.
So now I think the question that is on everyone's mind is how much are you paying for that lease on the white van that you have leased and shaved?
Really regretting that long-term contract.
When I shaved my mustache, they actually came and took it away from me because I wasn't in the club anymore.
Recode it.
Oh, I had to take the patch off the jacket. So, no, we are almost right at a week post Soup Live 2022. I know me personally, I'm getting kind of settled back into the day-to-day. I'm not stressing and staying up till 1 a.m. trying to make sure that we hit a deadline in order to pull that thing off. Since y'all have gotten back and settled in, kind of have y'all had time to digest everything that happened last week?
But first of all, bravo to you for pulling that event off in that short window of time.
Thanks,
I know Paige had a lot to do with that too, but that's I heard multiple people say that was incredible. So just FYI, kudos to you for that.
Thanks, man. Alexa, she's the event coordinator there at the venue. And I didn't really, like, when people tell me a timeline or expectation, like I throw it out the window, and of course I'm going to try to do it and whatever I think is possible. And when we booked it, she's like, this is like 10 weeks. Like normally people do this 10 months to a year out. Like, this is 10 weeks. I'm like, yeah, like what's the problem? Looking back,
I now, the word normal.
Yeah. Looking back, I now understand the facial expression she gave me when like I was dead set on, yeah, this is going to be 10 weeks. Like we can change a lot of things, but we cannot change Cinco de Mayo being on Thursday and them having tacos. That's what kind of made that deadline solid, and we were going to have to pull it off one way or another. So
it was awesome. It worked out.
I am personally excited about having you, Taylor, back in the capacity that you're in, because our viewers don't know this, but Taylor was a little bit stressed leading up to the event, a little bit stressed as he should have been. He was putting on a very, very large production and event, and he was orchestrating the whole thing. And me and Brian Blair, for those of you guys don't know it, he's one of our other partners. Him and I do have a tendency to joke a little bit too much. We have a tendency to not be as serious about things that need to be serious. So 2 days before the event, Taylor was like, hey, you guys didn't even give me a freaking name for your speaking slot, and I can't deal with your bullshit today. So just tell me your name. Yeah. And me and Brian went about 38 messages.
It was 38. All I needed was a subject for the schedule. And my exact message was, I need a subject for the schedule, no bullshit answers.
When he asked me that question, I just replied with one sentence.
And it was beautiful. That's all I needed.
I don't do that.
That's all I needed.
That is why CJ is our most efficient
yeah.
of leadership.
Yeah.
And me and Brian and Mike are going back. There was a few good ideas, but there was a lot of...
But they were disguised in all the bullshit.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And then finally Taylor messages. He says, "Guys, for the love of God, for once in your life, can you just do one thing without being complete idiots?"
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on that one thing to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No, it was stressful. I'm sure I wasn't asked to many over the last couple months. I still don't apologize, but I'm sure I was one.
I was hoping that you would introduce us and get CJ fired up a little bit more. I was hoping that you'd introduce me as the newfound tech guru of the insurance space, because I was hoping to get CJ a little razzled.
I don't think I've seen CJ razzled. He just takes it as competition, and then
you didn't see me today, Taylor. I was razzled at the discount tire store today over supply chain issues. So, yes, occasionally it happens. Yeah, but just typically not in things like this.
In tires.
Yeah, I went and dropped my truck off yesterday at the dealership. I ordered some bumpers for it back in September of 2020, and they came in on time. And I've had them powder coated and sitting in the bay at the Ford house since September of 2020. And finally took my truck to have it put on, had the brakes redone, and
they're probably calling you not about your extended warranty, like, Mr. Dobbie, your fenders are taking up valuable space in our bay.
Yeah, that's what it's a buddy of mine that works at the Ford house. That's what I told him. I was like, all right, so when we settle up, I'll go ahead and just pay the invoice for the storage fee for the last 2 years because it's literally taken up.
Take that in beer.
Yeah. And he was like, well, your tires are kind of getting there. And since we're doing the brakes, I was like, nah, I mean, I'm going to burn the hell out of the tires. Like, I'm not going to put brand new ones on just yet. He's like, but we may want to look at ordering them so that when you do need them in a couple months, I've got them in stock. And I was like, that's probably a good idea. So I definitely can relate to that, CJ.
Got to watch out for them Terra grapplers, man. They'll get you.
Oh, man. There's something I need to take my truck in. It's broke. The back tires, it just spins nonstop. And so rotating them often is very key. But
yeah, I'm going to put some freaking Toyos on my freaking Lexus hybrid. See how that does.
What size rims you put on the van?
I don't freaking know. I just make it pedophilic.
I guarantee you, though, it had some Ling Long tires on it. If you don't know what Ling Long tires are, you need to look that up. I guarantee you his van had Ling Long tires on it.
Oh. You know what was cool
we actually almost bought a van. We were going to buy one of these, like, not the Sprinter van, because those are very, very expensive. We were going to buy this off-brand, like, Nissan freaking huge ass passenger van before we got our Suburban. And my wife was looking at it and she's like, I ain't driving that freaking thing around town. I'm not going to be caught dead in that thing.
And for those that don't know, Matt has to have a large school bus to carry all of his children.
Well, when you have 17 kids, that happens.
I feel like after you have 5 kids, you should automatically qualify for a disabled card. Like, you should get the disabled spot when you go anywhere because you have so many freaking kids that it's like, dude, you think I'm going to walk these people all the way across the freaking Target parking lot? There's no way.
You are not able-bodied in that moment.
I am not able-bodied. In fact, I want to start a business, which is completely unethical and it'll never happen. But I borrowed my dad's truck when we went to Napa, like last year, me and my wife. I took his truck so we could have our kids' car seats when they were watching our kids. And he's a disabled vet. So he's got a disabled vet license plate. And I wanted to start a business. And the business was very simple, a rental car company where all the cars had disabled license plates. That way you could park right up front, rent a car, completely unethical.
Yeah. See, I've got DV tags because I'm 70% disabled from the Air Force. And I still can't get myself to park in the handicap. Even right after like back surgery, I did it only a few times. I still I just can't get. It's hard for me to park in that spot when I get out of the truck and I have to jump down, out of it and climb up into it.
Oh, my back hurts, but I'm up 17 feet high.
Yeah.
I'm also in a hurry as I run up to the store.
Yeah, right. As I throw little man on my shoulder and I'm sprinting across before they close. I just can't get myself to do it. So
see, my dad carries his car whenever he jumps in our car. He'll always bring his card to throw on the mirror, and he freaking lives and dies by that thing. He's like, dude, why the heck would I walk extra? Said for all the crap that I had to do, I'm gonna freaking park up front.
So let me ask you this, because my wife is this way. She will circle the parking lot until she finds that spot up at the front, knowing that she's going to go in and spend 4 hours, walk every aisle 19 times. And I mean, collectively 15 miles in that one store, but that extra 100 feet to get into that store, not acceptable. Like,
you know what it is, man? Like, it's actually smart on your wife's part, because there is a straw that ultimately breaks the camel's back. And if she is like within 25 paces of the store when her legs give out and she's only got 25 steps left, she never would have made it to that spot in the back of the lot.
Yeah, well,
She may have never picked up those things from Target that she shouldn't have picked up if she was further away, and she knows that.
Yeah,
that's the flip side of that coin as well.
No, my wife is a huge park in the back of the parking lot next to nobody because she hates parking the Suburban. And so she parks far away all the time. You ever seen that the comedian that was like that does the bit about parking their car, and his wife gets mad at him for like, why would you park here? Like, why? And then he gets all angry at her. She's like, you have anger problems. He's like, I park all the time by myself and I'm never mad about it.
no,
I have wife problems. I don't have anger problems.
Right? No, I haven't heard that, but
we're exactly the opposite. So my wife drives a Ram 2500.
Yeah.
And anytime that I go to drive it, I'm like, hey, I'm going to park in the back because I don't want to park by anybody. And she's like, what? There's a spot up at the front. I'm like, yeah, that means I got to back that thing in. I'm good. Yeah, you can do it.
See, both. I screwed up. When I had the issues going on with my head 2 years ago, my wife drove my truck for 6 solid months, and she never drove the Tahoe. So then once I was released to drive again, she didn't want to drive the Tahoe. She wanted to drive my truck. So I went and bought her the same exact truck as mine, and now she'll go to Dallas, or like she gets her hair done in North Dallas, and she's like, the construction, the lanes are small, it's hard to park. And I'm like, well, when you drive a 250 that's lifted with tires, like that's not meant for Dallas driving. Like, I wanted you to get a little like Range Rover Tahoe, or Range Rover, SUV, maybe a new Tahoe, something that's a little bit smaller and easier to park. So now I actually may trade hers in, let her drive mine. I'm not going to give it to her. It'll always be my baby, but then get something smaller that is easier to park. Because parking garages, no chance. Like, have to valet everywhere. The airport, which I don't mind because it makes it a hell of a lot easier than hiking through the parking garage, but definitely has its downsides.
I think I could see you in a McLaren or something there, Taylor.
I've got a weak spot for the new Corvettes.
Okay.
I was going to say, I see Taylor in a nice Toyota hybrid, a nice little, it's
I'm
like
more of a
cream
Prius
color
type.
Yes. I've seen a nice Prius.
No, once we
get him a Leaf.
Yeah. Once we get the new house built, I told my wife I may have a midlife crisis early. I want the new Corvette.
It's a mid life crisis. It's a double mid.
It's like an early mid.
Yes, it's like a mid, the mid in between the mid, like 30.
Well, if we're going to do that, then I'll just call it the beginning of the mid. That way it gives me one more before the actual mid.
Whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night.
Oh, man. You know what was cool about last week? And I was thinking about it last night, is that was the first time that we've had all the business partners that are involved in Insurance Soup all in one place at the same time.
I think next time what we have to do differently is we have to show up like 2 days before so that all of us can, because one of the things is that event happened so quick. I mean, we were there from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. almost every night. So quick, but we're there for freaking forever, all night. And then you get back to the house, you sleep, you wake up, do the same thing the next day, which is a blast and a ton of fun. But next time we either got to stay a few days after and debrief and collectively come together and sit in a room for a few days and do all of that. Cause it would definitely be incredible to do that. Cause that was one thing I was bummed about was, me and Taylor, we were in the same house the whole time we were there, but there wasn't a ton of quality time that we could spend because there was so much to do.
The night before the event was really the only time that we spent with each other. I mean, even at the event when we were with each other, we were all spread so thin.
Yeah. And then some people may have left early.
Don't go there.
Oh no, we're going there. Mike's gonna have to tell this story. So Thursday, the Cinco de Mayo, we stay, and Mike leaves a little bit early to go back to the house. And at this time, it's what, roughly midnight.
Well, I'll
which was early.
I'll start by saying this. I was not going to leave at that point in the night, but it was suggested to me, and the power of suggestion when I'm already tired is very strong.
Oh yeah.
And no matter what capacity. But so Ariel, who is the owner of the Brian Blair Agency, she had approached me when we were all grabbing dinner, we were all sitting in those booths. I think there were about 45 at that point. And she was like, Mike, it's getting really, really late, and you guys have got a long day tomorrow. I don't know when you guys are thinking about leaving, but if you guys that are watching or listening, don't know me or haven't hung out with me, I am generally out of all of us the one that goes to bed the earliest. Partially because I'm the old man of the group, partially because I'm dealing with time zones, and partially because I just don't have it in me to be out into those hours.
And partially because you don't drink like a fish.
Yeah. But I'm also realizing as we speak that Ariel loves you more than me, because she never suggested for me to leave. Ever.
You know what?
Ariel was the best person at the event for me and Brian and Mike, because she brought me lunch every day. We'd be sitting, mingling, doing our thing, and she'd be like, hey guys, you need to eat lunch. And she'd bring me water. She's like, hey Matt, you need to drink water. And then when I was having conversations with people that got a little bit interesting to be involved in.
Oh, she was clutching me on day 2.
Yeah, she was awesome. I called her my soup wife.
Well,
she was my soup wife / mom.
She didn't suggest that I go home early or bring me lunch. So,
I kind of want to throw this out there because it makes it sound like, oh, Ariel was saving us and all that kind of stuff. For anyone that's watching that was at the event or anything along those lines, there's so many people there and we're being pulled in so many different directions that sometimes when those conversations go 12, 15, 18 minutes, and we've got like other people that are standing around, obviously waiting to talk. It's like the weirdest thing because like I'll just speak for myself. Like I have a ridiculously normal pedestrian life.
No, I think we all do.
I don't want to speak for anybody else. And then we show up at these events.
I had to heat up my lunch today. I don't even go out to eat. I microwave my lunch.
I just don't eat lunch. Yeah.
But we all have such normal pedestrian lives. And then for 48 hours, we're like thrust into this like weird, microcosm of a moment where we're suddenly like popular and cool. But, Ariel was very, very clutch in many, many different ways. But so she had come over to me and she, kind of gave me the nudge and said it was, really, really late. And it wasn't really, really late, but it was getting there. And, do I want to call it a night because tomorrow's a big day and da-da-da-da-da. I said, yeah, given my history with the guys though, I am probably going to be the only one out of all of us that you're going to be able to get to leave right now. And so she tried to get everybody else to leave and except I guess Taylor. Did she try and get you to leave?
Not once.
I was on the boat to leave with Mike and Ariel in the Uber. Ariel was like, Uber's coming in 10 minutes. Uber's covering in 7 minutes. Matt, Uber's 2 minutes away. And it was at the 2-minute mark that Brian Blair handed me probably my 14th tequila soda. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm freaking going anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
Well, so the car comes and we Ariel and I hop in the car and we stop by my Airbnb first and drop me off. And Ariel takes off in the car with the Uber driver to go back to her hotel or whatever. And so it's I don't know, it's probably around like 12:10, 12:15. And I get out of the car and I walk up to the house and I punch the code in, 4521. Boop, 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 boop. Enter. Doesn't let me in. Do it again. Doesn't let me in. Do it a third time and it flashes red. Like Like, you're not getting it at all now. And and I'm tired and I'm cranky and I'm a little bit in the bag, and I am in like I'm a strange man in a strange land, and I don't know what the hell to do. So
he decides to text the idiots who never are serious about anything. Hey guys, I'm stuck.
so I hit up Taylor, and he doesn't respond to me, which is not a surprise because we're in the
my phone stays on silent, like at all times.
Well, we gave it the good old college try, and you didn't answer. And I hit up Brian, and I had a feeling that you were going to ask me to tell the story, so I actually got the conversation prepared.
I know you so well.
So I hit up. I hit up Brian, and I go, yo, can you get Taylor? The Airbnb is not opening. And so he responds, yeah, 4521, which I already knew. I had already punched that in several times.
Me and Brian are standing next to each other at the bar, and he says, Mike's stuck out of the house. What's the code? I said 4521.
So Brian responds to me, and this is a direct quote. I'm reading this from the conversation. Taylor would like to know if you're at the right house.
We're standing at the bar. Taylor's 5 feet away from us, 10 feet away from us. And me and Brian are next to each other. And Brian says, Taylor, Mike's stuck out of the house. And Taylor responds back, are you sure he's at the right house? And Brian's like, Mike, Taylor told me in a voice message. He sends it to Mike. So it scripts. Taylor wants to know if you're at the right house. And me and Brian are dying laughing at this point.
So I am standing at this house. I'm standing in front of the keypad. I am standing in front of the brick-faced house that
beautiful glass door. It's a beautiful door
that I've entered and exited several times at this point. I am looking at the front lawn, which is the same bare, plain front lawn, and I am saying to myself, I am not going to be answering silly questions.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to get in.
Taylor, so at this point, how many times have you tried to shake the door?
Easily 4 or 5 times. And if you don't know me, if you've never seen me in person, I'm 6'4", 300 pounds, and it is late and it is dark. And I am frustrated, and I am shaking the door.
I didn't know there were bears in Texas.
And me and Brian are dying laughing. And then Taylor yells across the bar. He says, did he try pulling the handle up?
So I send a video of me entering the code to Brian. Showing him, like, I know the code, like this. I know the code, like this isn't me, guys. I'm not stupid. So Brian sends back, have you raised the handle up?
Oh.
And at this point, I am like just completely dumbfounded by the suggestions, because they're all very basic, like we're not cracking the code. Like no one came through with an idea that I was like, oh shit, MacGyver just came through and saved me before this bomb is going to go off. But so anyway, in the back of my head, I'm like, I do also know me.
I know you too, and that's why my first response was Taylor, what it was.
And Taylor does know me very incredibly well. And so I'm at the house, and if you're watching this right now, like I don't even know if they had ring, but I'm like, I'm trying to get in the house or whatever, and I step back 4 steps, and I'm standing in front of the house now, and I see the number on the house, 1104.
We're 1100.
The house we're staying at is 1100.
No, and all we know at the bar, me and Brian, Mike sends a response, I'm in the house. And so we're like, okay, great. Pulling the handle up apparently worked. He's in the house.
Well, the geniuses have offered the advice necessary to get into the house.
We thought we came through.
No, it wasn't until we were leaving on Saturday.
36 hours later.
Leaving on Saturday, heading actually to my son's soccer game, and he said, "So I've got a confession to make." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "So Thursday night?" And right then I knew. I knew it from the start. I knew it from the start. He was not at the right house. And those poor people that live there or that were renting that house will never visit Arlington, Texas again, or that house will be up for sale.
Which I shared earlier with Taylor and Matt, which I'm not going to share on this podcast, was weirdly not the first and only story I have where a family may have thought I was trying to break it into their home, where I was innocently just trying to get into some place that I thought I belonged.
Oh man, that
if you haven't looked it up before, Mike, you need to look up the stand-up of Dane Cook talking about a B&E. Dude, a breaking and entering.
Oh, dude.
There was no breaking. There was just entering.
You know what? There was no breaking or entering. It was like trying and standing. I don't know if that's definitely not a thing.
I would have paid so much money for that code to have been right.
Oh my God. No, the fact that he's
I'm going to send it to you right now. I'm going to send that video to you right now because it lit up green.
It did light up green. But the fact that you were in Texas,
okay.
It's 12:15, almost 12:30 at that time, and you didn't have a gun pulled on you or shot at. Amazes me.
There's nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely wasn't a Texan that was staying there. It had to be another rental.
It had to be.
Thank the Lord.
They were probably all hiding in their closet. Like, shit.
Could you imagine?
There's a big guy trying to get in.
Could you imagine if the headline at our big first event was like, one of the co-founders of Insurance Soup shot dead outside of
trying to break and enter
during their first live event.
Oh,
in a
man.
freak accident.
Oh, that was.
I have seen the video, and Mike, you were one deadbolt away from that door opening. I'm just
One of the things that and maybe this is just my experience and not a ton of our audience experiences, unless you do other things besides being in the insurance industry and besides being an agent. One of the things is I was sitting listening to a lot of the speakers. Ben had said something the first day. I think it was the second speaker on the first day, if I'm not mistaken, maybe third. But one of the things he said that really resonated with me in a lot of the ways, I mean, there's so many different brands in Insurance Soup and different partners and all trying to do the same thing, help insurance agents, fix processes, generate leads, be a better marketer, be a better agent, get better referral partners. There's so many different tools and avenues that Insurance Soup has to do that. And when I hear these speakers, I spend most of my day with Brian Blair on what we work on over at Agency Elephant. And when I'm hearing Ben speak about life insurance, he was talking about how everybody sells your product. Everybody sells life insurance. They can get your product anywhere. And for me, outside of just insurance, I was thinking about this in broader terms with the stuff that I deal with. And I'm sure, a lot of us were feeling this way. Yes, we know the power of what we do. Yes, we stand behind our product, but to the end consumer, there's a lot of different mastermind courses out there. There's a lot of different educational courses. There may not be a lot of Facebook bot courses. I think CJ might hold the fort down on that.
They just don't want to challenge
there's
them.
A lot of different ways to go independent, right, Taylor? I mean, you can get that product anywhere. Surface level, just appearance is reality for a lot of people. What something appears to be is reality. They may not go into depth. Perception. They may not go into depth on it. They may not understand the ins and outs of why it's the best direction for them to go to be an independent agent or whatnot. But appearance and perception's reality to most of insurance agents and anybody trying to purchase anything trying to purchase a lawnmower. Hey, this thing mows lawns. This is a great lawnmower. I'm getting it. Whereas when I was sitting there listening, it really was a gut check of, are we relaying to the end user that to get over that hurdle of everybody offers what you are offering? And that for me was one of the
how awesome was Ben Reeder?
He was incredible. I mean,
knocked it out of the park.
And
especially for the first
circle. He's been in our circle and our orbit for so long, and he has kept himself quiet within our world. I mean, he's obviously not quiet within the insurance world, but within our ecosystems, he's never been, particularly outspoken. And what a hidden gem in our world.
That's what I told him at the VIP dinner. I said, like, why have you not stepped up and shared the value that you have with the group? You've got 42,000 that would love to hear from you. And
need to. A lot of them need to hear from that kind of voice.
And and also if you think about okay, we had a lot of women speakers at the event, which is probably abnormal for an insurance conference to have that many female speakers carrying a voice. Never be
abnormal at a soup event, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not going to be abnormal at soup events, but in most conferences, in most cases, women are underrepresented in a lot of capacities.
Absolutely.
That is common knowledge that they're underrepresented. And one of the big takeaways that I had from it, and we've talked a lot about this, is, man, the women that were up there speaking, Casey, Malia, Joanna, these women have a story to tell, and they are really, 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 really strong business owners and agents. And when I've purposefully spent a lot of time with Casey because I was interested, how is somebody that has such a sailor mouth, that is so funny, that is so goofy, that is so different, how can that same person be such a incredible business process person? Like hearing her hiring structure, hearing how she structures all of these things, it was a epiphany moment where it's like, wow, this is not who I expected you to be. One, but two, why is that the case? We have talked about this a ton. And we've been looking for a female voice that is vocal, that is, transparent, that is, really, really strong in speaking out and all of these things in the group. And we're always like, yeah, Malia's really strong. Joanna's really strong. We have a lot of really strong women, but in similar to Ben's case, where he wasn't as vocal as we were hoping, we find that very, very, very much in the female in soup, where it's like, you guys realize that you have so much to offer people.
Absolutely.
So here's what I can say, and just backing up to this, a lot of you that don't know me, my family, I grew up in an insurance agency, literally. We used to take our family vacations to PIA conferences. That was literally what we did. And that was the best lineup of speakers I've ever seen in one place ever. As far as the insurance is concerned. And also, I think Casey is the only person that could have got up on stage and led with flicking off the audience and get away with it.
Absolutely. No, one thing that Mike and although we agree on a lot, we do disagree all the time. And that's what makes, our business relationship and friendship so good, is because we don't just agree with each other on everything. We just all had a disagreement this morning, to be completely transparent, on structure of certain things. I mean, this happens every day. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we both agreed on, and I think everyone involved, behind the scenes with Insurance Soup, is providing value first and foremost. From day one, we've always said, if it's not in the best interest of the agents, then it's not in our best interest, because we can never put ours before them. So we agreed that we would have no one that paid to be on stage, and that we weren't going to pay anyone to be on that stage, that it was going to have to come from a value standpoint. It wasn't going to be any selling. It wasn't going to be any promoting. There wasn't going to be any pitch or offers. So going into it and setting that expectation, we knew that it was going to be very value-packed, a lot of tactical advice, a lot of advice you could take back and apply right away. And going into it with no other, focus whatsoever in mind, but just to make sure that the agents that attended got the best experience, not only from stage, but the after hours as well, made it very easy for us to bring together. I mean, like you said, CJ, I've been to a bunch. You've definitely got me outnumbered, but we wanted it to be unique. We wanted
you call me old.
Well,
you're the one having a midlife crisis over there.
Yeah.
I will say this. the speaker lineup was top notch. It really was, and I feel like we're all kind of patting ourselves in the back here a little bit, even talking about it, but it really was a top notch, speaker lineup and all that kind of stuff. I did have a number of moments during some presentations where my butt did clench up just a little bit because I was like, oh, are they leading to a sale? And they never did. And I was like, oh, thank you for listening, because we would have looked so silly if we were telling everybody there's not going to be any selling from stage. We spoke to the speakers, there's not going to be any selling from stage. And then someone actually did it, and no one did it. And thank the heavens that no one did.
Well, I mean,
once they're up there, it's game on. They got the microphone,
I mean, we also have a kill switch for that feed as well. But I'm
sure Taylor had his finger on the button waiting for me and Brian to do something so freaking stupid.
It was hovering. No, but I mean,
you were touching it a few times.
Gong for the next one. Maybe we get a gong, like the old gong show.
Yeah.
No, I do have to say that I was the only one booed at when they came on stage, so that does still hurt my feelings. I was the only one booed. So
I think the only reason they didn't throw stuff was they were scared that they would hit Brian by accident.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wanted to see me do a strip tease from stage. Nobody wanted that.
No, how many events have you been to or conferences where you're super excited to go, and you get there, and when you leave, you're like what the hell did I just go to? Like, that was just a sales pitch from start to finish.
I always, when I left Soup, the Soup Live, usually when you leave an insurance conference, you're kind of like mentally drained.
Yes.
Like that's one of the, like, you're in a hotel conference room looking at gray walls, and you hear, insurance all day. Dude, when I left Soup Live, dude, I was jacked up. I could not wait to get to work on Monday.
Yeah.
Until I saw my email, and then I was like, oh God.
One of the things that
go back to Texas.
One of the things that really, made me feel good is we didn't want to bring in any speakers that are just hype and motivation either. Like, that's like, if I want to get hyped and motivated, like, I can do that myself. I don't want to pay money to go somewhere, and I didn't want our attendees to pay money to go have someone outside of our industry, try to get them excited so that they go back and, can do better. We wanted actionable advice, and hearing that, people were hyped and excited and felt that way by just over delivering on the value side and not on fluff or, motivation. I'm excited for the next one. I really am.
I've never been to an event that I was excited to go to, one, that I enjoyed listening to the whole thing to, and that I took more value away from and wasn't sold to. I've never been to an event that's done any of those three things for me ever. And nothing's more exhausting for someone like me that's more casual and laid back than every morning have to make sure that he freaking irons his, dress pants and irons his freaking button-up shirt in the morning and make sure that he looks professional. That always freaking drove me batshit crazy, because I'd go to these events and that's what you had to go as, because you couldn't go in unless you were business casual. And business casual to me is a t-shirt and freaking bird dog pants.
Yep. No, we are who we are. I mean, you catch me on stage in a suit.
You're probably in your coffin.
Yeah, I'm dead, and they stood me up. That's just not me. I mean, if you're going to see me on a stage or out in front of people, I want you to see the same person that you may, run into on a Tuesday afternoon. And like, that's me. I did.
And we joked around about it, right, Taylor? We said, Taylor, are you wearing this tomorrow? You're like, actually, no, guys, I'm not wearing this tomorrow. I'm not wearing the same thing. I have brand new shoes that are the exact same shoe. Yep. I have brand new shorts that are the exact same shorts. And I have a new polo that is the Soup Live logo, not the CIA one. So it's a completely new setup. And I have a brand new hat. Had a brand new hat.
And I even brought brand new socks.
Brand new socks. You offered me a pair of those brand new socks.
I didn't give them to you because I got home and was like, I did not.
So what happened to your brand new hat, Taylor? Because I noticed the hat that you wore was a little bit, bit older.
I had to put my brand new hat on a day or two early because honestly, I was in the bathroom, went to scratch my head, and 2 seconds later, I was pissing on my hat. It's the first time ever have I dropped my hat in the toilet, and it was in the middle of taking a piss. And so, the new hat came out of the closet 2 days early, if we're being honest. So didn't get to wear a new hat to the event. It was 2 days old, but I'm excited with the way that it turned out. We definitely learned a lot. We'll make a lot of improvements. The next one will be even bigger, even better.
You're going to need 3 more pages to be able to pull the next one off.
Well, we've got time on our side on this one, so we can properly do things instead of rushed and like putting together.
Shout out to Paige Mitchell, by the way.
Yeah, killer job behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And I was going to say this too. Y'all's attention to detail for how quickly you put the event together was absolutely phenomenal. One little touch that you guys probably didn't even think twice about it, but like there were like gluten-free options at lunch. Mm-hmm. Like little things like that, that to the person may not be a big thing to a lot of people, but to the person that's a big deal for, like you changed their day because they were like, oh, I'm not going to get to eat because they don't have what I can eat.
What was super cool about that was we actually did not think of gluten-free as something to, provide with the meals and whatnot. We were just thinking
we did do vegetarian
and vegetarian. And as the event approached, we had 2 or 3 agents that had approached us and asked us about gluten-free. And I'll be completely honest. I was like, yeah, we'll check when we get there, but I wasn't expecting them to be able to accommodate. And sure enough, we asked them in between day 1 and day 2, like, hey, do you have any gluten-free options? And they were like, we'll make the magic happen. So appreciate you recognizing that, CJ. But honestly, it was the venue that was able to make that quick pivot, which was awesome.
Yeah, and it's a big deal for people that just don't want to eat gluten versus people that physically can't, because I always saw gluten as like, you just don't freaking want to eat gluten. Just eat the gluten for one day, you'll be fine. But you have people who are like my brother, who are celiac and physically can't even have cross-contamination, and they wouldn't be able to eat from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. unless they door dashed.
Well, we did have a couple people ask for extra gluten, so I did feel like we didn't provide for them. But outside of that, we did pretty good.
That was me.
Yeah.
I needed to absorb the amount of Red Bulls I was eating, and I felt gluten was the best way to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I need your extra gluten pizza, please.
No, one thing, like going into it, I was like, man, throwing an event like that, that's just a big party. It can't be all that difficult because we've never thrown one. I mean, we hadn't done a small event, more or less, have hundreds of agents, come across the country and do something on that level.
And the idea is scary.
It's scary, but there's a lot more that goes into it. Like the badge, having to design it, and you go through the whole process of designing it and then go to have it done, and they're like, oh, by the way, we need a 1/4 inch space around the entire thing, for printing. And so then you're like, well, shit, I just organized 17 faces to make it fit. Like the little things, how thick do you want the lanyard strap? Do you want, the thread count, the digital assets, the
little things like what's the title for your presentation?
What's the subject for your presentation? There was a lot that went into it that didn't take into account. So 10 weeks was like, oh, that'll be easy. And then, right up to the event, 10 weeks of 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days. You're like, all right, the next one will be 10 months. Let's give the correct time, but also make it fair. There's we spoke to so many agents that wanted to come. They just didn't have the notice, or they had something already booked because it was so close. So we'll be announcing.
Some people need freaking childcare, and 10 weeks is not enough notice when your childcare, like your grandparents or parents or whatnot, already have a vacation that they booked, and had they known, they would have pushed it a week.
Yeah. So the next one will be announced soon, and it'll be a very far out notice.
I thought this was a truly cool moment of the event. I had asked during my presentation, I was trying to get a feel for how long people were in soup, before coming to the event and whatnot. And during my presentation, I had asked if anyone was, in soup under 30 days, because I thought that would be a really, really quick turnaround for someone to join the group and then say, you know what, I know, like, and trust these guys in this environment enough to check out what they're doing. And no one raised their hand, which I expected. But then after hours that night, Ben Reeder, who we were just talking about a little bit earlier, funny enough, pulls me aside and he's like, I want to introduce you to someone that just joined Soup the Sunday before this event. We hosted this event on Thursday and Friday. This guy joined Soup the Sunday prior, bought his tickets Monday, was on a plane Wednesday. His name is Rob. He's from Las Vegas. I wish I remember his last name, but it was like
I met him as well.
Yeah.
It was a really cool moment where it was just like, That felt good. That felt really good.
I mean, the event overall, like, I can't wait to get the recordings back from the videographer. I didn't get to see a speaker speak from beginning to end throughout the whole thing, so I got bits and pieces. So, like, the bits and pieces I did catch, were amazing. Like, I've got so many takeaways, and I feel like I only got to watch a fraction of it. So, to be able to sit down, go back and watch every speaker and take my own notes and start to apply. I'm really looking forward to that. So a lot of you are listening and saying, like, all right, what are these guys rambling on? Like, why is this podcast, popping up? And this is something we've wanted to do for a long time. I've had a lot of requests, and honestly, we've got so much going on that the things that we want to do is much, much longer than reality when it comes down to time. But what we're doing is we're launching multiple different podcast shows, and we'll have them hosted all under one umbrella. Agency Independence is the podcast that I'll be hosting. Matt and Brian will have the Matt and Brian Show. Mike and CJ will be hosting a podcast, and we want to bring not only...
What's the name? Do they have the name yet?
Well, until it's rock solid, I'm not even going to ask for the name until it is sent, and I'm hitting the publish button, Matt. I don't even...
Oh, so you can wait for them, but you can't wait for us.
No, I'm talking about... I've seen the illustrations for y'all's, but I still don't trust that that'll be the one until it's ready to publish.
Oh, the illustrations are done. They're locked in.
So we want to bring different...
The name of our podcast is going to be Insurance Stew.
Insurance Stew. I like it.
Meteor Stew, hosted by your resident thick boy.
I like it. No, we want to bring different subject matters, different topics, but also different guests to the podcast that you may not have a chance to hear from, or may not even know, that can bring value to you and your agency. So that's the goal with these. Of course, we're going to have fun. You can't put us on any kind of Zoom podcast, anything, without having some fun. So look forward to more episodes coming. Excited to have many of you that are listening on as guests over time. We value so many agents that have gone from just being a member in Soup to a client, to a friend, to someone that now we look at and learn from. So we want to have everyone from agents that are in the field up to CEOs of major corporations, so that you can really see from every spectrum, of the insurance industry, from different angles, from different insights, and try to bring you as much value as possible.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for listening to the first episode of Agency Independence Podcast, and there'll be more coming soon.